during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is recorded, by the way, in Bukhari and Muslim. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was in the masjid, and he saw one Sahabi with the name of Hisham ibn Hakim. He was praying Salah, and in his Salah he was reciting one surah called Al-Furqan, the surah number 25 in Quran. But when he was reciting it, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was getting angry because he was reciting in a different way. So he wanted to jump at him and grab him, but he let him finish his salah, his prayer. So after he finished his salah, he grabbed his garment and he said, "You're not reciting properly, or the way you are reciting is not correct." So Hisham ibn Hakim radiallahu anhu, he said, "I learned this surah directly from the mouth of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." So he dragged him to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he told him the whole story. He's reciting differently. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Umar radiallahu anhu, let him go, Umar, and don't drag him like this. So he asked Hisham, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Hisham to recite Surah Al-Furqan. So he recited, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this is how exactly it was revealed to me. Then he said, Umar, now you recite. So when Umar recited, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that is correct too, that it is revealed to me in that way too. So, and then he said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Quran has been revealed in 7 Ahruf. Whichever way is easier for you, you recite in that. So that was that hadith from Bukhari. But what exactly is this meaning of Ahruf? And we need to know a few things. And why do we need to know all these details? Many common people don't really know. And what benefit do we get after knowing this one? So inshallah, I'm going to cover a little bit about it. I'm not going into too much detail. I think I have my pointer here. And at the end of the presentation, I want to show you some audio clips, inshallah, about different recitations, why we have these differences, and the famous scholars today, their recitations, and the popular ones, inshallah. So, Ahruf, basically, these are the various ways of reciting. These are, closely in English translation, you can see the dialects or modes of the Arabic language. So as I mentioned, Quran was revealed in 7 Ahruf. So how do they differ? I have lots of examples. I have different slides, how one word changes into another, how we pronounce it differently, and why do we have those differences in the first place. And ever since our childhood, we were told that word for word, letter for letter has been preserved. Then why do we have these differences? So, but before we get into this, I want to tell that all that we read here, Quran, in the copies that we have here in the masjid and everywhere in your houses as well, that is just one harf. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that at least this one harf will be preserved till the day of judgment. It will not be, going away from our hearts or our books. It will be there. But the concept of 7 Ahruf is a little bit different, and we'll get into this. So the story behind this is that there was always one harf. When Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was in Makkah, there was just one recitation, and everybody used to recite that way. And when he moved to Medina, more and more Muslims, more people began to convert to Muslims, right? Convert to Islam. So now we have different tribes, the Arab tribes, getting into Islam. So what happened was that within Arabia, around the Makkah, the Arabs that used to live around Makkah, maybe Taif or some other places, they spoke little bit different Arabic than the Quraysh, than the Makkans. So, and these kind of differences we also have it here, right? You go, Western America, you get a little bit of different English accent. If you go to British or London, English is a little bit different. And if you go maybe a few years ago, like the Shakespearean English that we say, that is completely different from what we have. So these variations are there. The dialects differ from time to time, from place to place. So these Arab tribes used to have different Arabic dialect. And for them, the actual Quran, the Quraysh Quran that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, that was a little difficult for them, because some of the words they never heard of, and some of the way of pronunciation was completely odd for them. They were not used to it. So Prophet Muhammad saw that it was difficult for these new Arab tribes to recite Quran and also to understand what those words are. It won't make sense to them because if it is pronounced differently. So Prophet Muhammad made a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To Allah, help my ummah, help by revealing it in many ahruf. So singular is harf. So what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his dua, and from that time onwards the Quran was being revealed in 7 ahruf. So how these ahrufs differ, we will see, and do we have a different variation for each and every verse or not, we will see, inshallah. So that was the main reason. And also there is another reason we will see why we have different ahruf. So at that time, this is just giving you a picture that there are lots and lots of Arab tribes, and this does not necessarily match one-to-one with the ahruf, but all these were popular Arab tribes at that time. Thaqif, Hawazin, Tamim, Hudayl, Quraysh, and Yemen, people in the south, they all spoke Arabic, but little bit variation here and there. So that now Quran was being revealed in so many different ahruf that they would choose, okay, this one is easy for me, so I will recite. So when a delegation comes from different place, Prophet Muhammad would recite to them and teach them in their dialect, in the way that is easier for them. So that's the story behind it. But the original, the Quraysh one, that is what we have till now, or that's the one that we still read. And if you remember, when the Uthman's Mus'haf was being compiled, right? Uthman radiallahu anhu asked Zayd ibn Thabit and that whole committee, he told him that when you differ in spellings, choose the spelling of Quraysh. That was the top priority when compiling, and we will see how it differed later on. So that was one reason why the different ahruf came. It was easier for the tribes to really understand this Quran that was being revealed continuously, and so that they can practice as well. But also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this opportunity. He tried to not only made it easy for different tribes, but these differences sometimes gave additional meaning. Like some words would be like different, or the spelling would be different, and it brings about like a new meaning. Not like opposite meanings, but it will give about like a complementary meaning, a better meaning, gives a whole picture. I have some examples what exactly it really means, but Mushafs vary from ahruf to ahruf. And do we have all 7 ahruf preserved? From now on I can tell you not all 7 ahruf are preserved. We have some of the ahrufs preserved. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that one harf will definitely be preserved till the day of judgment. And we will see what we have and what we don't have today. So as I said, this basically sometimes the additional words or the variation of words gives a deeper meaning if we do not have, we cannot get that deeper meaning by a single harf. And we all should know that all these differences came from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And just like how we offer salah, for example, right? Some people hold differently, some people don't even hold the hands. All of them say that we have evidence from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prayed this way. Those scholars come up and said this is better, that is better. But overall, we always see that there are differences, and people always trace it back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even this ahruf, it always came from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also not just from him, it came directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He himself didn't add. He didn't say, okay, let me make it easy for the tribes. No, he had to get permission from Allah before reciting in a new way. What is the difference between ahruf and recitation and qira'at? We will also get into that, but there is a difference. And also, we mentioned that Uthman radiallahu anhu, he compiled a mushaf, right? And that mushaf, he actually made like 4, 6 or 8 copies of that mushaf. Before making it official copies, he kept one with himself and he distributed the other 4 to 8 copies in different parts of the world. And majority of those mushafs were exactly the same. But however, one mushaf or maybe one or 2 or more, they were differing in some aspects. They differed a little bit. Not all of them were exactly the same. One of them were a little bit different than the other. Why did Uthman radiallahu anhu do that? Because he wanted to preserve the different ahruf. And that is why even up to this day we have different mushaf, different ahruf. Majority of us, 95% of the Muslims all over the world, we use one harf, and that is what we read here. That's 95%. But 5%, we will see which countries they are and where they are being read. But that is also coming from Uthman radiallahu anhu. Now, did Uthman radiallahu anhu preserve all the 7 ahruf in all his copies? The answer is no, he did not preserve all, because remember what was his original intention. Why did he compile it in the first place? Because he wanted to do what? He wanted to stop the fitna at that time, right? People were fighting with each other, arguing with each other, because everybody is reciting differently. There were lots of non-Arabs coming in. They don't have any knowledge, any background in the Arabic language, and they were fighting with each other. My Quran is better and yours is not. So Uthman radiallahu anhu wanted to kill that fitna in the first place. So he came up with this official version. He said everybody should recite from this official copy of Mus'haf. But he didn't make all the 7 ahruf available to the people, because he feared that it might happen again, the same fitna. But he basically made some variation, the popular variations that were there. He put it in the Mus'haf, and it is still there up to this day. But again, I want to remind that our original statement, word for word, letter for letter, is preserved, definitely, until this day. And what we read today is one of them. So one harf is definitely preserved. So that's the promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to make additional steps. Allah promised, I will take care of it. That Quran will be preserved. So as I said, not all ahruf has been preserved, because Uthman radiallahu anhu, he wanted to minimize the fitna. And that is why he made it simple enough so that people won't fight with each other. Now you see, at the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, the original need was not there. The original need was what? That the tribes were having difficulty in understanding the Quran, reciting the Quran, because their Arabic was different. Now, during the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, we don't have that issue. The situation is different, because now we have non-Arabs accepting Islam. They don't really care between Ahruf 1 and Ahruf 2. For them, everything is new, right? So now that situation doesn't exist. So the need for keeping all the 7 Ahruf, Uthman radiallahu anhu didn't feel the need for it. So that's why we don't have it. So he tried to put as much as Ahruf as he can, but if it was getting too much deviation, then he stopped it there. He chose the Quraishi spelling over all other spelling. And we will see exactly what I mean. And also it is said that when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in his last recitation, every Ramadan, Jibreel ﷺ used to come and recite with him, check his memorization, revise with him. And during the last revision, obviously he would have recited in one way, one half, and that sitting, Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu was sitting with him. So that's why we say that that's the recitation that has been preserved, one half that was recited. And that was at the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, when it was finalized.